Well, let's change gears a little bit because the system of our county government is being discussed now and controversial, but we may or may not be voting on that in November about changing how our county government operates. So why don't you bring us up to speed on this process?
You know, Pat, our county government is in turmoil, and there have been a substantial number of bad decisions made that the taxpayers of this county are now paying for. The decline in the coal industry, a lot of the financial problems that the county is facing are, of course, some of them blame me for the problems. If you recall, before the election, I was the guy responsible for all the problems because I wouldn't give the county officials control of all the severance tax. Well, let's talk about the financial responsibility of the county government. You remember the county sued the manufacturer of OxyContin and received a $4 million settlement. And after the attorney fees and expenses had more than $2 million. Well, instead of spending that money on drug treatment, it was all spent just to pay the bills. Well, then that wasn't enough. So then the county, I believe, borrowed some money. Now, I'm not sure if that loan's been paid back or not. Well, then the county also, Pat, levied an occupational tax against every man and woman who are working in this county, trying to provide for their families. And a lot of these people that have been taxed are coal miners struggling to make it, maybe trying to save some money in case they're laid off. Coal miners who've been forced to take lower paying jobs. And then they're subject to an additional tax. And then there is a net profit tax on every business. The people in the businesses that you want to create jobs, the county taxed them. Why? To support this exorbitant, elaborate system that they've put in place. Now, let me ask you, Pat, and I would submit this to the people who listen to this program. Since the implementation of the occupational tax, has the level of service provided by the Pike County Fiscal Court improved? I don't think so. We've had a system that's been broken for many years. You know, you have one magistrate. You know, these magistrates make about $50,000 with full family, at that time, full family medical insurance, retirement. We had one that was making that kind of money and maintaining a full-time law practice in another state. And right now, just the last couple of weeks, the Pike Fiscal Court has borrowed $2.5 million from Community Trust Bank. $2.5 million. Now, this is after all the tax increases, spending the OxyContin money. They borrowed $2.5 million to help cover payroll. It's obvious that the current system is broken. And you know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, in this case, it is broken, and it needs to be fixed. Now, there have been a lot of people sign a petition to put it on the ballot to whether we elect a commissioner form of government. I did sign the petition. And here's why. Because I do think that there are structural problems. And there are people who support the current system saying, well, you could have all the commissioners from the city of Pike. Well, that's not true. The fiscal court would draw the boundaries just like they do for the current boundaries for the magistrates. Our system is broken. And it's not fair that the working people of this county are subsidizing the bad decisions that have been made. You know, there was a $400,000 loan, Pat, made to a company that this has been in the News Express. There's been no accounting to this, to my knowledge, at least according to what I've read in the paper. No one knows how that money was spent. So the county gives $400,000 to a company to come to this county. The business has not been started. No one knows where the money's at. $400,000. I mean, that would have been enough to keep the senior citizen centers that they tried to close open for the next 2 years. Sheriff Rodney Scott, we just signed off on allowing Sheriff Scott to access $200,000 of the money that's in our coal severance tax account. He doesn't have a single cruiser with less than 150,000 miles. And we have magistrates driving new trucks. We have deputy sheriffs making little more than half of what a magistrate makes, driving cars with 150,000 miles, doing prisoner transfers and trying to police this county. Now, if you tell me that the level of priorities are not misplaced, then, I disagree with you. I think that, that sheriff's office needs the money. And if I had gone along with what the fiscal court had tried to do, and we had given them control of the severance tax money, it would have been squandered, just like the OxyContin settlement money, just like the $400,000 given to this company that has not been accounted for. And now we're seeing an effort made by some of the people, some of the county leaders, to try to keep this vote from taking place. And I think that's wrong.
Well, the vote would take our system from five magistrates or six magistrates at $50,000 a year to three commissioners. And their territory would be divided up.
We would be essentially twice the territory.
All right.
Of a current magistrate.
Well, now the city of Pikeville, the commissions just serve at large. So is there a difference between the county commissioners serving at large or just to have their area so they know the area they're serving?
Let's put this in perspective. The city commissioners in Pikeville get paid almost nothing. They've had a balanced budget. They've had growth. They've had prosperity. You drive up to Virgie, where I'm from. Drive over to Phelps, where my dad lives. Drive up to Dorton, where my sister lives. We've not seen that kind of growth. But the problem is, Pat, more than 2,000 people. There only had to be 1,200 signatures. And when the petition was turned in last year, the fiscal court said it was not turned in timely. So that petition and some additional signatures were turned in. All it takes is a minimum of 1,200 signatures to put it on the ballot. Now, whether you're for it or against it, there's no question that there have been more than 1,200 signatures. And it is a fundamental principle that under our Constitution that we have a right to petition government. The right of petitioning government is in the First Amendment. Now, let's say this. Whether you're for it or against it, once the legal number of signatures have been put in place, it should be up to the voters to decide. To have the fiscal court then try to get the county attorney. The county attorney, I've got a copy of the letter. The county attorney sent a letter saying that he felt that this should be put on the ballot, that there was enough signatures to be put on the ballot. When you have a group of county politicians who are trying to use the county attorney's office or other government offices to keep this off the ballot to save their own necks, there's something wrong with that. The people of this county deserve an opportunity to vote for it or against it. And that's all I'm saying. I think that the county government system has failed us. You know, every employee in my office is now paying occupational tax, but yet the county has to turn around and borrow $2.5 million to cover payroll. There's something wrong with that. And it's obvious that the current system's not working, and I think we need a different system. And look, if the commissioner system goes in and it doesn't work, then you can always, 4 years later, change it back. Some counties have done that. Johnson County has a commissioner form of government. It's worked extremely well. Floyd County tried it. They went back to magistrates. But the point I'm making, something has got to change or this county is going to end up bankrupt.
And then we're all going to be paying more.
And I'm not going to sit back because I live in the county. I don't live in the city. And if you drive up my holler where I live, the weeds are out in the road. The ditches haven't been dredged. The creeks and the ditches are filled with garbage. And, you know, it's time for some changes.
All right. Well, now, people may have some questions for you over your law practice and this issue. So why don't you give us some numbers?
If you have a question about this issue or about the law practice or any legislative matter, you can reach me at 606-432-5777 or 1-888-RAY-JONES. Easy numbers to remember.